Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another bike parts video. So I just finished up a road trip of almost 6,000 miles, and on that trip I discovered a few items that have just become some of my favorite little bits of tech and accessories that made the trip much more enjoyable. So today I wanted to talk about the top 10 items from my trip. So we'll kind of work left to right, and then afterwards I'll do one quick honorable mention. So let's get right into it. This is something that I didn't know how much I would appreciate it until the trip was done, and that is a good pair of riding boots. So there are plenty of options out there. This particular set that I used was a set of the Icon riding boots, so they're dedicated to riding. They're high ankle, they are waterproof up to a certain level, nice comfortable soles, nice thick leather. Anyways, very comfortable shoes. So get yourself a good pair of riding shoes. I really liked those. Another thing that I liked was some cleaning product. So right here, this is the muc-off visor and lens cleaner. So this I found really useful after a day of riding, especially through like Texas where there's love bugs, just covering the front of my helmet and my windshield. So this with a little microfiber took up no space, and after the day was done or the start of the next morning, I was able to start fresh with a clean set of glass that made visibility much easier. All right, next. This was something that was absolutely invaluable. You're gonna pay for it, but the return on investment when you're riding in a group or if you just want to listen to some music is incredible. So this is the Sena 30K. They've come out with higher models now, so the price on these went down a little bit. The 30K steps up into what's called their mesh network, and it is pretty much the only one I would recommend. The 20, the 10, all of those don't run mesh. So they can be real finicky when you get into bigger groups, into further distances from one another, or if your riding order changes with whoever's in point, middle, back, you know, whatever that changes, that can get complicated. But with the mesh, it's absolutely seamless, and the app for your phone is incredible. So that was how I controlled my Sena the majority of the time, was just through the app that I downloaded. You can cut on and off your microphone, so that way if you don't have a nice quiet helmet that can operate the microphone via the Vox, then being able to cut your mic on and off is huge. I'll give you an example. When you're riding through a busy town and your GPS is talking to you through your headset, if somebody else starts talking, it's gonna cut your GPS off, and the conversation is gonna override everything else. So when you need to critically listen to your GPS, you can cut the mic on, tell everybody, hey guys, let's go silent for a little while because I gotta listen to my GPS. Cut your mic back off, everybody else can cut their mics off through the app, and then you can just listen to your GPS talk to you. And then of course, you're gonna be able to listen to your music. I did find on long days, you know, if I'm riding for 12 hours or more and I'm going back and forth between my phone, listening to music, and using the mesh to communicate, the battery died. So the battery life, I would say, is at max probably 12 hours if you're using all functions. If you're just listening to music, you could probably get, 14 hours, maybe 15 hours before it died. So anyways, a good headset was a huge deal. All right, so speaking of headsets, you're gonna be using some sort of device to utilize your Sena technology. And so I wanted to mention my device holder. So this is from Klock. It's called the ioMount, and this is the Nomad. So it's just straight up a universal, almost like a giant zip tie. I've used these things on dirt bikes, mountain bikes, sport bikes, jogging, strollers. I've used this thing on everything. So you've got to put a little metal disc on the back of your device, and then this just cinches onto your riser. Slap that on there and it is done. It's seamless. I love this. The magnet never fails. I've run into trees on my dirt bike with my device mounted. I've gone 130 mile an hour, it hasn't come off. It just is incredibly durable. So pick up one of these. They're a little expensive, maybe around $100 for the full kit, but as far as a device mount goes, hands down, best one. Just follow the instructions. Leave plenty of time for this little metal puck to establish a good grip on the back of your device. If I ever see a failure, it's because they didn't let the little metal puck 3M adhesive harden fully to the back of the device. So give yourself plenty of time on that. What I like to do is clean it with a little bit of alcohol, clean the back of my phone with some alcohol, put the 3M metal disc on, and then take 4 or 5 hard, heavy books, set them all on top of my phone and leave it overnight, and I've never had a failure. Gives that 3M 12 hours to fully harden, and I've never had one come apart. Okay, next. This is called the AVON Throttle Boss. There are other ones out there, cramp busters. My bike did not have cruise control, and so this on probably day 3 just became my best friend because it stops your hands from cramping. It lets you open up and throttle with your palm. They're 12 bucks. You need one. It is a nice thing to just keep in your bag, so when you get out into the middle of nowhere and you want to give your hand a break, you can toss it on and off. I wanted to mention this. This is the Get Jump Start. There's a ton of little jump boxes out there. We never needed it to jumpstart a motorcycle, so that was pretty much a best case scenario. But what I did use it for is on some of my longest days when my headset would die, I would take this out, and it comes with kind of a multi-adapter. So it's got a lightning connection for an iPhone, it's got a USB-C, and then it's got a USB mini. So I was able to actually take my headset off, plug this in, and actually charge my headset during one of our stops, so that way I could finish the day out with my headset still running. So having a little thing like this can be really convenient for different needs, and they don't take up a ton of space. All right, so this is a little bit of tech from OPTIMATE. And how this works is you plug this in. So your motorcycle's probably got a battery tender lead coming off of the battery. So when it's parked in your garage, you can plug it into a little battery tender and charge it up. Well, that is a direct connection to your battery, so power is going to go both ways. This little bit of tech from OPTIMATE is a USB converter. So it does some really awesome stuff. The price point on it, I think it's right around 20 bucks. You plug it right into your pigtail when you're on your road trip, and it's got the technology inside of it self-regulates. So when it's plugged in and the bike is running, it puts out 2.4 milliamp. So most phones, iPhones, Androids, they're all pretty much now charging on 2.4, and very few are still running on a 1 amp phone charge. So this runs at the 2.4 amp charge. But one of my favorite things about it is when you cut the bike off, like I said, that's directly connected to your battery, so it's always hot. However, let's say you're out camping with your motorcycle. You plug this into the you plug this into your pigtail harness. This will cut itself off after so many hours. I believe it was 3 hours of the motorcycle being off. This will then cut itself off so that you don't just sit there and do a parasitic draw on your battery overnight. It also has 3 little LEDs that give you an indication of the battery health. This thing was super convenient, already has USB, and everything now is coming with some sort of USB cable to charge your devices. So great little bit of tech. And it's all water resistant seals. All right, next. This was something I picked up off of Amazon. I'm about 6'1", and so most factory windshields are not quite tall enough for me. So I purchased one of these many years ago for a V-Strom that I did some road trips with, and they're $35, $45 depending on which one you get. And they add about 4 inches, and they are adjustable, and they clamp right down on top of your windshield. And so it gives you that extra bit of height and adjustability to where you can kind of set the pitch on it, and that just creates a bigger bubble. So without having to go through all the work of buying a different windshield, I can take this one off, add it when I want it. So I didn't actually install this on my motorcycle on my road trip till probably about day 3. The first couple of days I didn't mind having the shorter windshield. We were coming from the south going north, so when it was hotter I kind of liked the extra air. But then when we got up towards Idaho and Nebraska, the air started to cool off, so I didn't mind having a little bit bigger bubble, and it did make it significantly quieter for me, and it also created a much bigger bubble, so some of my helmet buffeting fell off. Anyways, that's that. All right, so I've got two more items I wanted to talk about. This thing was incredibly comfortable. So I've got two versions here. These are seat pads. So yes, you can go out and spend $300, $400, $500 on a better seat, and you will get a better seat. But not everybody wants to spend that large chunk of money. And my intention with this motorcycle that I bought was really just for this road trip and not to keep it for much longer than that. So I have these seat pads. The way that they work, they just stick right on top. You can blow into them and adjust them. I've got two brands here. This is the Wild Ass, then Drag Specialties makes them. AIRHAWK makes them. A bunch of companies make these different seat pads, but they absolutely make a huge difference. They advertise that you can typically increase your riding distance before you hit that threshold by hours. So let's say, for example, you're out on a ride and you normally start getting hot spots, your butt starts aching after, let's say, 3 or 4 hours. Throw one of these on and you could potentially get another 5 to 6 hours before you really start getting uncomfortable. I would say that that's absolutely true. The way that it allows air to ventilate underneath you reduces the hot spots. When this was installed, all my butt pains went away. I no longer found myself squirming in the saddle. So on some days that were, let's see, my longest day was 14 hours. This thing was an absolute game changer. And of course, it doesn't matter if they get wet. They attach with Velcro. They're just fantastic. So one of those, the Wild Ass is a little bit more expensive. This is the premium one. They are like, I think, $200 something, but the Drag Specialties is going to do something very similar. They retail for 95 bucks. So let's say a quarter of the cost of a better seat for most applications. And then the last bit is getting some good luggage. So this is the SADDLEMEN 3400 Tactical. This gave me all the storage that I needed. My only gripe with it is that I thought the water resistance from the luggage itself would be a little bit better than it was, but you really have to use the rain cover. I found that even in relatively light rain, if I didn't take the rain cover out and throw it over it, the stuff in the front pouches and side pouches I found were wet. Even some of my like shirts and pants and stuff down in the main compartment, they were actually even getting wet in relatively light rain. So you've got to use the rain cover. The water resistance of the product itself is really low. So that's my only gripe. But as far as being able to fit, let's see, we traveled for 12 days and I was more than able to bring all of my luggage that I needed inside of this, except for my heavy cold weather jacket and my rain gear. I put that stuff in the side bags on my motorcycle that would not have fit without really jam packing this bag. But that was a great little investment, about 250 bucks. Nice luggage goes a long way. And the honorable mention that I wanted to talk about was my phone. So I have an iPhone 11. One of the things that I found absolutely to be the most useful is the fact that my iPhone 11 has a water resistance rating. So when we were riding through rain, I didn't have to be worried about my phone getting wet. So you could pick up a LifeProof case. I know those add a waterproof level to your current phone, but I would recommend, if you did like me, where my phone was our GPS, I was doing the navigating the entire trip. It was my audio source. It was my control for my headset. So if my phone had died, I would have been left in a real bad way. So the fact that it was waterproof, water resistant, I didn't have to worry about getting caught in rain and freaking out about pulling my phone off of the device mount and trying to get creative. So either buy a phone or get a phone that's got some significant water resistance, or get yourself a case that adds that water resistance to where if you're using it as your navigating system, you need that. So anyways, this has been 10 little bits of tech or some items that I have found to just be absolutely irreplaceable, indispensable on my last road trip. I hope that this gives you some ideas on your road trip to consider, hey, maybe I should pick up one of those. And if you think that I left something out or I missed something, please give me a comment down below. Let me know what I forgot. Or if you've used any of these and you got some comments or feedback, let me know. And also click like, click subscribe. That helps me. Appreciate it. See you guys next time.